Welcome to Feminist Founders, the community for entrepreneurs who are ready to reject toxic capitalism and do business differently and better. We're your hosts, Becky Mollenkamp and Faith Clarke, and we're so excited you're here. If you'd like to support our work, please consider a paid membership. Information is in the show notes. But without further ado, let's get into today's episode.
Giavanni Washington. I am ever grateful whenever we get to sit down and record our conversations because, we can chop it up for hours. Unfortunately, today we only have 20 minutes, so we'll see what we get. And this is the Feminist Founders podcast where we're talking in the summer about, the labor that creeps up on us, because the summer schedule for so many of us as women can be quite wild between kid whatevers and camp whatevers and life whatevers. And like for a person like me, I have sports things. Then I have staff for my kid, but the staff has kids. And so it can be quite involved. And I think it's worthwhile just to honor that lots of us are holding 15 things, not to mention aging parents and other people. I have other people that are not birth children that I care for that are also in the age of my children. So it's fascinating. So I am curious about, first of all, introduce yourself in whatever way you'd like. And then we can jump right into your take on like what's invisible labor like for you. And then we'll take it from there.
Well, I'm Dr. Giavanni Washington. I run a company called Black Goddess Within. We help women, usually overachieving, high-performing women, untangle their worth from their work. We live in a society that gives us the message from the time that we are young that we are only valuable if we're valuable to somebody else, right? That we don't have inherent worth. And those messages are, of course, complicated by positionality. So if you're the eldest daughter, if you're an immigrant daughter, there's another way. If you're a person of color, there's all these ways in which that narrative gets sort of exponentiated. It gets worse, it gets harder, it gets deeper, it gets heavier.
Yep.
And so we show overachievers like a spiritual path toward liberation. And we're really focused on people breaking free from other people's expectations. And our own internalized expectations, like social. I feel like I'm not being very articulate. Society's expectations of ourselves, like the things that I just described to someone. I'm going to just jump way head in. So I have this podcast, right, called the Overachievers Oracle. And of course, it was a business decision. It was a way for me to drive traffic to my site and to me to have calls with me. But really what happened, Faith, is that it became a healing vortex for me. Right? Like writing down all of the scripts. And like, I understood intellectually that we were overachieving because we were being pressed by society to do these things. Like intellectually, sort of overarchingly, I understood it, but literally writing down the steps to seeing how overachievement is tied to slavery, just like policing is tied to slavery and colonialism, and understanding that while that is true, at some point, I also am complicit. And because I participate in the structures.
Yep.
And I literally just said to someone before we got on the call today, I was like, I refuse to participate in my sacrifice.
Yep.
I'm the person in my family. It's really interesting because I'm always like, are they going to hear this? but whatever. Because we don't have these conversations, right? But I'm the person in my family. And I think there's a lot of this position exists in a lot of families where they're the kicking bag, the person that gets sacrificed, the person who will go and do it, the person that will come and take care of it, the person that is expected to fix the problem with no regard to the detriment that's happening to that person's life.
Yep.
And the podcast has made it impossible for me to continue to participate in my own sacrifice.
Yeah. Wow.
Impossible. Okay.
I think that there's an element of what other people expect blindly. And I have adult kids and kind of watching them do it. It was interesting to me to kind of just be, well, I thought you would know. I thought you would know the cost to me. I thought you would understand that I pay a price for this thing that you receive so freely. And to watch them be fast and loose with it, I was just like, whoa, it's on me to shape a story that says no. And particularly for all of my kids, it's important that they not just see their ease and power with taking advantage of the invisible labor that I offer and that others offer to them, because then they will see it as norm for their own lives moving on. And I just was like, so my own discomfort, as I'm part of what's happening for me now, is as I lean back from it, my worth issues come up.
Yeah.
My own like stories about how I mother and how I like all of that comes up. And I was like, I have to be with that. But that's just part of the walk. That's the portal we're going to have to walk through. When you wrote this, what are 2 or 3 ways that you noticed you were complicit? And then what are 2 or 3 things that you are now doing as part of your own liberation?
This is excellent. I'm going to give you a really, I just think a poignant example of the mothering, right? And the expectations that we have created in our children. I have one child, a male child, for whatever that's worth. And we live with his dad, who is also my husband, right? That is our family structure. I often call him his dad, and I'm like, wait, but he's also my husband. So, but this is our family structure. And we've had some shifts in the sort of the external labor in our house, like who is actually working a job outside of the home. So now it's me working and also running the business, and Lyndon is mostly home. I'm saying names now, you should cut the name out. But so he's doing a lot more of the shuttling of the child. He is ostensibly tracking the school stuff. I'm still tracking the school stuff, but whatever, there's been a shift. And so I was literally on a plane, literally like 30,000 feet in the air. He is in the car with his child, with his dad. They were like a foot from each other in the car.
Right.
And, I get excited. I'm like, oh, there's free Wi-Fi on the plane. So I'm like, hey, what's going on, you guys? And he's like, Mom, where's the practice? And I said, what? He's like, where's the practice? I was like, aren't you in the car with your dad? Isn't he taking you to practice? Yeah, but they moved practice and we don't know where. Your dad has access to the exact same team communication app that I have. He's literally driving you in the car. Why are you asking? But the upset that it caused that I would not answer the question was fascinating to me. Like I literally had to just shut down the Wi-Fi, right? I was like, I'm not talking to you anymore. This is now Sterling does not have access to the app. So I can't really blame Sterling, but the fact that Sterling thought he should ask me, who's 30, like not only am I not on the same house with you or the same city with you, I'm 30,000 feet in the air. How many hours away that I was on the East Coast, and we live on the West Coast. And this is what you want to pester me with? Not like, how was your trip? Or, like, what thing are you thinking about today, Mom? Where's my practice? And I was just like, oh my. So just the dimensions in that were wild to me. And so basically I'm just, you asked me like, what am I doing to know? I literally am just not participating. And there's, I don't know that there's pushback as much as there's fallout.
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, this is, as I have examined my life, which the podcast has given me the sort of, conduit to do, I can look back at many, many occasions and situations in my life where I was the one who got called, or I was the one who was expected to do, in retrospect, literally something insane.
Yeah.
Right? And by insane, I mean, your brother needs a heart transplant. He's moved to our back to house from a different state so that he can be close to UCLA. He's on the list. We don't know when he's going to get the heart. He's now on a mechanical heart, a bridge, because the first heart failed. And he has to wait a year before he can get a second heart. So he's on a mechanical heart. This is the first time they've let someone from UCLA come home with the mechanical heart. So it's in a portable. He's got to drag this bag around behind him. If the batteries die and we don't get the batteries replaced fast enough, he dies.
Right.
Right. But as his parents, we're going to go take this cruise that we planned in New Zealand. Right. And we expect you to, even though you're in grad school and did I have a kid? I must have had a kid at this time. I had a husband and a child. We expect you to come and live here while we're gone. And you have to get trained so that in case the battery dies.
So you don't get your brother beyond the death of your brother.
And, look in the moment, I must have been a 35, 36, 37-year-old at that time. Like, of course,
Of
I'm
course.
going to do this. I mean, everyone decided that they should go on the, it wasn't just my parents being, glide. The doctors were like, we don't know when it's going to happen. You should go and live your life. We always tell people to go and live life. And they had already planned it. Like, it wasn't something they did like in response to my brother needing a heart transplant. But in retrospect, it was insane that this was the request that was made of me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why? Like, it was something that, it was a request that should not have been made of only me. That's what a team should have been in place.
And
like,
let's all talk about it and let's come up with a solution. Yes, go and do the vacation, but let's all figure out. Yeah.
Let's figure out something. And his wife and his kid are 6 hours away in another state. So really it was on me. Do you know what I mean? And my husband and child were 3 miles down the street, but I was not. I was over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, why? Who in the world thought this was okay?
Yeah.
You
so
know?
many people.
So many, clearly, I mean, I thought it was okay. That's the problem. I also thought it was okay.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, I'm like, that was like an egregious request, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's also an extreme situation, right? But that dynamic happens in much less extreme situations all of the time when I look back at my life. And I know I'm not the only one. I know the eldest daughters get it a lot.
Yep. And I think that, having proven yourself, there is the feedback, right? Having proven yourself to be capable and gotten the feedback that you're capable and the accolades that come with that, then you just kind of fall in to keep offering, the giving. You just kind of, so, because, today is a short version. Today's the Cliff's Notes of the thing. If you are, because this happens at work. And so my clients are people who they're dealing with this at home, but part of designing restorative cultures, part of integrating more holistic values, actually making it be in our bones and in our hands, is kind of unearthing this so that it's just not so unfair. It's just not so unfair at work. And aside from hiring somebody like me that says, hey, there it is. It's almost like you need an external voice pointing it out because you're so immersed in it. But what kind of person who's like, wait, this might be affecting me because this sense that I am exhausted. Too many women say to me, I know I need to organize things better. I'm just so exhausted. I think I need to organize things better. I'm like, I think it's not they are organizing. I think.
Well, for me, I hear organize better as what I hear in my parlance. I would say, no, we just need to change the organizing principle. Right?
Nice.
I have clients organizing around love, around rest, right? Around what's in the interstitial spaces. And I think we start with defining liberation for ourselves, right? And I think when you're clear about what liberation means to you, it makes all the decisions easier.
Right.
Because then you can say, because you actually really do have to take a step back and be able to ask yourself the question, is this serving me? Is this serving my liberation? Is this serving my joy? You know, and today, my basic definition of liberation is like, there was a word, like finding unfettered joy in the small moments are in every minute. It's no, that wasn't it. It was the it was the unsomething pursuit of joy.
We'll put it in the show notes. If you remember it, tell me and I'll put it in the show notes.
It comes in, it changes also.
Yeah.
But then when someone says, hey, will you go pick up this thing on the way to the family dinner? I can be like, well, last time I picked up the thing for the family dinner, y'all didn't wait and everybody was done eating when I arrived at the family dinner. So I'm not doing that today because I want to be I'm a part of the family.
Yeah.
You won't sacrifice me. And that can go for work. Well, it happened to be this morning. I got an email from someone it wasn't so much what they asked, it was how they asked it. And so now I'm like, this is an opportunity for me to train you how to treat me. Because you will not continue to treat me like I'm your employee when I'm not your employee. You know what I mean? Like, this is not, I don't know if it's age, I just turned 50, or if it's just this realization that I've had with this clarity with the podcast. But I was like, I'm just not taking no shit no more. Like, this is not, and I'm aware that it's shitty. So I guess that's the question you're asking, like, how do you become aware that it's shitty? And I think, when we get sick a lot of the time, or we keep having a cold or that cough we can't get rid of, or, I have this ache in my joint, but I didn't do anything. Like there's ways that our bodies start
to give us this information. Yeah. And I think our bodies are giving it to us subtly, and then we're not listening. So then it does flare up now in that knee,
or the hospital visit.
Yeah.
So it'll take you out. Like it's very, here's the thing. I also think that we are aware. I think sometimes we lie to ourselves. Like we see the thing happening and we're like, oh, it's not that, it's this. And we're like, no, the idea that Jimmy just presented was actually your idea.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. Or the kudos that person just got actually belonged to you. People expect us to work and toil in the background for no acknowledgement or compensation.
Well, they also don't acknowledge, because in the meeting, you didn't kind of acknowledge the idea from whoever. And then that person's upset, which is impacting the team dynamic. And you go over there and do repair. You're
right.
Like, yeah, don't pay so much attention. You know how John is. It's just like, remember, sisters, we're trying to, whatever it is that you do, that repair is work. That impacts everybody. That's you could have been doing whatever. And nobody, it's the blindness to it, and the secrets. Anyway, so yeah.
No, I think you're right. So I think it's both things. Some of my clarity is definitely in retrospect. Like in hindsight, I can see it very clearly. But when I look back, I'm like, you have a feeling. Or I think, okay, here's what I think. I think people can listen to things like this conversation or the Overachievers Oracle podcast, or I think we just need language around it. Like hearing the phrase invisible labor when I was, after having been a stay-at-home mom full-time, and then being a stay-at-home mom who was in grad school, and then being a stay-at-home mom who was sometimes working, do you know what I mean? Like doing all the things and walking around feeling like for a full decade that my contributions to our household there weren't any, that I wasn't making any contributions. And I was like, but I'm working my ass off.
Yeah. Why am I so tired?
I'm exhausted. Yeah. I am busting and this kid speaks 3 languages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, wait a minute.
So
and it's not because of the other parent. And I'm not trying to be disparaging, but that's just the truth.
Yeah.
Right? It's not because of the other parent. So I'm just like, wait a minute, hold on. And I'll be really transparent. I think maybe when Sterling was 4 or 5, we went to a mediator. Like I was like, I want a divorce. And I couldn't articulate what was wrong. I just knew that I was like, I wasn't happy. Actually, before I went to the mediator, I went to a lawyer. And the lawyer said to me, it was just me, said, but in California, we consider the stay-at-home parent as facilitating the working parent to go to work.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, here I am, a PhD student in my 6th year of my 7-year program.
Yeah.
By all measures, a smart person.
Yeah.
And I couldn't,
didn't
articulate it.
Yeah.
I was like, why do I feel trapped here? And she didn't say it well, but she was like, listen, I just need you to understand that it's not just that this working person is supporting you. You are supporting the working person to be able to go to work. And that's when it really flipped for me, and I was like, oh, okay. Like legally I have standing.
Yeah.
Not just, I'm doing things, not just like out of my righteous indignation. Like, no, legally and actually and in practice, you are contributing to this household. You are contributing to the growth of anyway. So you understand what I'm saying? And and sometime thereafter, I learned the phrase invisible labor and was like that describes everything perfectly. Like that's exactly what's happening here. And I don't, this is not about pointing fingers at my spouse, because I think that he was socialized in a certain way. Like
we're in the system.
He is Caribbean, there are ways in which he is very traditionally patriarchal. And I think we play into the systems. I feel like I'm still not being very articulate.
One journaling prompt as we wrap this up for a woman listening who's saying there's something in here for me. She's kind of feeling it in her body. Maybe she's aware now of the tightness in her shoulder or the back of her head as she thinks about, all of some of the stuff we're saying. What's a journaling prompt or just like, what's next?
I would honestly ask yourself, what is the thing that that you are actively avoiding?
What's that thing that you're actively avoiding? You're looking away from. You keep, and then your eyes move past it.
Mm-hmm. Like there are truths that we all know that we're just like, I'm just going to, but it's over there. I'm just going to keep over here. Because here's the thing. When you let those truths in, the things
they're bringing their friends, though. They bring their friends. Once you say yes, you're going to kind of, it's just
going to fall apart. Yeah. It's true. It's going to fall apart. Like, that's what's going to happen. And it's like, you're like, I'm doing my level best to keep this shit together.
Yes.
But my true belief and experience is that it's better when we don't lie to ourselves. And just like equity, it's uncomfortable for people to give up privilege and power. But in order for there to be equity, the people who have it have to give it up so we can redistribute it. And it's this, I feel like it's the same thing.
And the discomfort, the shit that falls apart, is essential for the liberation. And like I've said on this podcast, it's not just our liberation. Like, my freedom in terms of from this whole invisible labor situation is everybody's freedom, even the people who are taking advantage of my invisible labor, because they're not free either. It's the prison is a prison that holds us all.
It is that. You are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. I mean, if the phrase is correct, if the idiom is correct, that all, what is it? The tide rises all ships, or whatever that thing is.
Rising tide, yeah.
Rising tide raises all ships. So if we're like this, like you have the freedom and I have the invisible labor, we're not actually all happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like we need, so yeah, you give up a little, but then the overall, the sum total is that we're all doing better.
Yeah.
And then what's possible after that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think, again, just like you're talking to the women who are maybe not seeing, don't have the language, but they have the tightness in their shoulders or whatever, the feeling in the back of their head. I think similarly, these folks on the other side who are benefiting from the invisible labor also, they have a sense that something could be different. Because I presume that these people love you. We're not talking about, difficult situations. So I feel like we all, But anyway, now we're getting into other places.
Which is essential. Part of the reason why a lot of this work does not become actualized in human bodies is because we don't go where it needs, like we have to go into the weeds of it. We have to go into the details of it. So Dr. Giavanni Washington, thank you so much for spending, this half an hour out of your day. I hope this was liberation for you.
You know what? It's reaffirming. And I feel very much like this is why church happens every 7 days. Like, you need to hear this again and again and again.
Absolutely.
And even though I'm super clear, it's such a new way of being that I need to hear it. Like, I need to keep saying to myself, I will not participate in my own sacrifice.
Yeah.
Which sounds
ancestral memory. The ancestral memory is not that. And so the thing that comes up is jump into the fire. Like, no, wait, hang on. No, come back here. And
I would offer that our recent ancestral memory is not that.
This is true. Yeah,
I think if we go back, we definitely have memory. And
that's nice.
Ancestral experiences where people did not participate, where that was not the expectation.
Yeah.
And so I think that's also important to remember. Like, our memory doesn't have to get stuck in the trauma and the trauma era.
That's cool. That's a great place for us to wrap up. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And again, we hope you'll consider joining our paid membership to help support our work. The link is in the show notes. When you join, you get all of this, obviously, but also bonus content in a private podcast feed, as well as free admission into our Feminist Founders Society community calls. It's a wonderful growing community, and we'd love to have you be a part of it and to support the work we do with Feminist Founders. Until next time, keep kicking toxic capitalism to the curb, friends.